All right, guys, welcome to the Movement Mindset powered by Station Athletics, episode 3. I'm Chris Hardenberg. This is Joe Pasalacqua. Today, we're going to be talking about the bedrock of our gym program from a client perspective, which is the 3 components of success: fitness, nutrition, and accountability.
Yeah.
So, Joe, just kind of speak on how we developed them as a whole.
Yeah, you know, when you start putting together, when you, break down everything that we offer and give to the clients as part of their membership or, any add-ons, et cetera, it always went back to the client experience. And then how we always broke down the client experience is like, well, what are like the key things that they're getting? And it was always fitness, right? It was always, we have a huge component of nutrition tracking and how we do that in the gyms. And then the accountability piece, right? Most gyms never offer all 3. So when we broke this down, it's like, well, we're going to offer all 3 and this is how we're going to do it, right? So the fitness classes are pretty general and I'll have you kind of go into each piece. But for me, the biggest thing was like, when you wrap them all together, the client experience is like, we're literally giving you everything.
For sure.
And these are the individual pieces. So I'll have you start with the fitness piece.
But I mean, before I even get into that, Joe, I remember when you first hired me and you were kind of showing me the sales process and you made it one of the things you said was no program does all 3 of these well. It's like, okay, you have these gym programs, they do the fitness well.
Most of the time, boutique style or like CrossFit style gyms or small group training gyms, the fitness is the fitness. Right? It's like they typically do that pretty well.
Sure.
It's very rare that you have a fitness program that's just is god awful.
Sure.
Right? So it's like, okay, so that's like an easy one to hit, right? Most of them don't do nutrition, and if they do, it's an add-on. But most of them just don't do it. They don't even offer it. They go, oh, go work with this person. But like, why would you outsource that? They're your clients. You want them to be embedded in your program. Right? And then the accountability pieces is like, we've talked about this in some of the other episodes, is I want everyone to come every day. Right? Or if they're on a 3-day-a-week membership, I want them to come every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Right? And if they don't, we're going to tell them like, where the hell have you been? Come to the gym. Or we want everyone to come to our community events. Right? We want the accountability of like, hey, you had a really shitty weigh-in. And have a conversation with them to be able to say like, hey, I went out, or I haven't been, my dinners have been too, my macros have been off. That's why the accountability piece, in my opinion, nobody's doing.
Well, and then you even would touch on, okay, that's what the gyms are doing. And then from a nutrition and accountability perspective, the biggest nutrition platform out there is Weight Watchers, right? And they did a good job with the nutrition, relatively okay with accountability, no fitness program. And then on the other side, you'll have some online fitness coaches, and it's like, okay, they do okay with accountability. They might help with some nutrition. They don't really give you the fitness, right? You have to find a gym. So nobody did all 3 well. And so, okay, I come on, I'm working with Joe, and over the last decade, we've kind of said, okay, these are the 3 components of success, and this is what goes into each. And so we wanted to do an episode on it because if you're someone looking for a gym and you're going to a gym that doesn't do all of these 3 things,
ask them about these 3 things.
100%.
I guarantee that they don't offer all 3.
Right. So from a fitness perspective, right, we do group classes taught by a certified instructor, right? So every time you come in, someone running you through a warm-up workout and a cool down, you get 2 free seminars a year. So one of the things we do is we outline a community event calendar for the year. In that, our general managers are required to create 2 seminars a year, free to our members. So they get to come in, learn, whether it's gymnastics, weightlifting, whether it's core seminar, nutrition, whatever, they get 2 free seminars a year. I know a lot of our general managers will do some sort of outside of the gym calorie or rep challenges to keep people accountable and on track. We do extra workout booklets. So folks who come and do our internal challenges, we have 4 levels, so 4 phases of accessory movements that you can get. So if your goal is this, or you're new to the gym, you get level 1. If you're at one of our CrossFit gyms, or you want to do something a little bit more advanced, you get level 4, whatever the case may be. And then in addition to that, we also have personal training that any one of our members can get, as well as open gym hours so that a coach can work with someone individually on what they're looking to do. So that's how we stack the entire fitness experience. And it's to make sure that when you walk into these 4 walls, you're not just getting, hop on a rower, hop on a bike, make sure your heart rate's in the orange, right, and go home. Then we have the nutrition. And so, again, Joe touched on it. A lot of places don't do this.
They don't even offer it. Something that you talked about, I'll just jump in here quick, is when we started offering the nutrition, those meal plans that I wrote, how many years ago was that?
Yeah,
those meal plans?
So long ago.
I have not changed them.
No.
Minus little things here and there, adding some items. It's just macro counting. So Weight Watchers is one of the oldest nutrition programs like that was ever created.
Yeah.
And it still works very, very well because it's just macro counting.
It's macro counting.
Okay. There's no fad diet. This isn't keto. This isn't fasting. Like, I don't believe in any of those things.
Sure.
I believe in a calorie in, calorie out on good, nutritious food. And that's what our meal plans are based of. But we dummied them down. They're simplified. They're color coded. We tell you the items, how much they weigh, all those items. And I don't see any reason for us to change those.
No.
Right. And that's one thing that like I've spoken to a lot of people about, like, oh, like these work. You don't need to do this. Just follow this.
Well, that's a big thing. Like when I used to do sales consultations, I had a lot of people come in who were like, I tried to do keto and did it for a little while and fell off. I tried to do vegan and I tried to do intermittent fasting. I tell people all the time, listen, don't overcomplicate things. Your body needs protein, it needs carbs, it needs fat. It's just a question of how much and where you're getting that from. That's it. And so it's like the age old, like what's worked is continued to work. And so we have 3 different levels of meal plans right now. So our level 1 is the first one we give to people who come into the challenge program.
Specifically based on a weight loss or a weight gain, weight maintenance, muscle mass increase.
Whatever your goal is.
Exactly.
And so it's based around your goal. The food choices are a little more restrictive because, again, we call it our base building. Like, we need to help you make healthy food choices.
No, it's like a dumb decision. Like, I mean, you've heard me say this a million times, right? Instead of drinking like Coke, drink Diet Coke.
Yeah.
Yeah, am I saying that's the end goal?
No. Don't hear us wrong.
What I'm saying is it's like you got to get people to understand the baselines of calories and and the functionality of what your body absorbs and
its behavior
and how it
changes,
absorbs it. Exactly.
right?
Behavior changes. I drink basically black coffee every single day.
Right.
And I used to drink with a shit ton of, creamer or anything else. And I don't really do that anymore.
Right.
It's very but that's the thing is you get these women that go to Starbucks or you go to Dunkin', right? And you get these giant lattes and you don't know what the fuck they're putting in it.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's like the number one thing. And even friends in the space, that's like the first thing that people that I know that are really good at nutrition tell people to cut out.
Oh, yeah. And so, and that's what it is, right? And so small things like Joe said, it's like, all right, hey, is Diet Coke the end goal? No. End goal? No. But if I have someone drinking 6 sodas a day, which I have had someone do that, and it's like, okay, well, you know what? Let's switch the 6 sodas to.
Here's a joke. Do you remember the girl that had the McDonald's app on her phone?
Oh, yes. And she was like, well, this is going to be a change for me. It's like, you know what? Instead of 2 McDonald's meals a day, let's go to 1.
Yeah.
And so it's
people
like.
People may not agree with us, but that's how we get people to stay.
Exactly. And then they make the progress over the time, right? So you have your level 1. Level 2 is for people who come out of the program. So it's a little bit more in depth. They have more food choices.
We put more red meats back in the diet.
Yes.
Right. But at this point, they have a baseline of knowledge of fats, carbs, and proteins.
And at that point, their body's changed. And so you have to fuel it differently. So every single person who comes out of our 6-week challenge, which is our initial on-ramp program, gets a level 2 meal plan. Then we recommend that people follow that anywhere from, and it could be tweaked and adjusted as always, obviously, but anywhere from, I think, 2 to 4, 2 to 6 months, right? Because we need to continue to build that out. And then our level 3 program is very similar, but it offers complete macros.
Correct.
And so the premise is at that point, if I follow our program to a T, to an absolute T, I'll have been following this nutrition guidance with you guys for, let's say, 3 to 9 months. That I'm now prepared that I know how to track my nutrition, and that if I'm given numbers and I want to go get ice cream with my kids, I can factor that into my macros and adjust my meals the rest of the day.
You teach them macro counting.
Exactly.
And it's not an easy thing to do. It took me a while, just like it took you to understand.
Sure.
It takes people, time to understand how these numbers can impact.
But that's why we don't start with it.
Yeah, it's a great example is I had one of our members recently kind of like was upset because she gained a lot of weight, but she gained a lot of muscle tissue.
Yeah.
But her body fat dropped like crazy.
Yeah.
And I was like, you just got to so this is all we're going to change.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you want to weigh this, you can't be doing this.
Yeah.
Right?
And so we make the small changes.
You make the adjustments.
And then we have coming, one-on-one nutrition coaching, which we're going to call level 4, which we should be coming here in the next month or 2.
Yeah.
So we have that totally tiered out. Then we also have your internal challenges, which give you that next level of nutrition guidance. We have a relationship with the company called On the Spot Meals, which does meal prep. They actually know our meal plan. So if you call them up and tell them what our meal plans are, they can prep the meals and deliver them to the gym based around your meal plan.
Correct. And that's local accountability.
100%. And then we also have in-person nutrition meetings, text conversations with our general managers to make sure you're following our meal plans to a T.
Something that we didn't really touch on here is 7.5 years ago, we started utilizing the InBody scales.
Yes.
Right. So the InBody scales If you don't know, they're like hospital grade measurement scales. They measure your body composition of body fat, visceral fat levels, where the fat sits in your body, if it's midline, base, leg, arms, etc. It gives you a really good guideline of people understanding that, okay, I gained muscle tissue, but I lost this much body fat. So even though my weight didn't go down, my body composition changed substantially. So we utilize that within nutrition accountability set.
Yeah, and that also would be something we talk about in our accountability, but you're 100% right, because everyone conceptually understands it where it's like, okay, if I have two people who are 150 pounds, one's 40% body fat and one's 12, everyone understands that the 12 person's gonna look way leaner and look way better, but yet people still get hung up on the number on the scale.
It's also understanding that BMI versus fat index, body composition index is bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm obese based
100%.
on my age, height, and weight.
Yeah.
Like I'm 200 pounds, but BMI says that I should weigh 155.
Right.
So it's like that people have this skewed perspective in their head.
Yeah.
You know, and we're not going to get into it, but I think that's a medical issue.
Yeah, for sure. And then you have the accountability standpoint, which Joe already said is, in our opinion, this is the biggest hole in the fitness industry. Because most gyms operate on, okay, hey, we're going to sell this and bank on 80% of these people not even coming in, and those are the people who pay our bills.
Yep.
And so we're the exact opposite of that, where we want people coming into our gym. We want people getting results. Because that's what we're here for, right? It is important to note that we do have tight-knit communities. You get in your 6-week program, weekly text check-ins from our general managers. Every single week, they're reaching out to you. Hey, these are your results. You forgot to weigh in. Where have you been? What's going on? How can I help you with this? So they're with you not only when you're inside the gym, but when you leave as well. So they're reaching out to you for a weekly basis. When you become a member, they're going to be touching base with you at least on a monthly, if not more basis, because we have, as I'm going to outline, texts that go out, an email newsletter that goes out, all sorts of stuff like that. You know, we do have birthday cards that go out to our members to emphasize the fact that we recognize it's your birthday and we want to celebrate that. Community events, like I touched on, 2 free seminars, 2 internal challenges a year. Do Toys for Tots at a couple of our gyms because we want to give back to the community. Our in-body scale, which helps keep people accountable, right? Like if I know I'm going to be tracking my results, I have a higher chance of actually doing the things to get the results.
Because it's in front of you.
100%.
If it's printed out in front of you and I can explain this to you, it is, in my opinion, one of the top 5 most important tools within these 4 walls.
100%. And actually using it. I've actually, unfortunately, seen gyms that say they have this, but it's not really baked into their program.
No, we've seen it on some of the, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You see it, and they have it available, like, oh, but you got to pay for it to use it. I'm like, okay, cool. Why don't you design a program around it?
Exactly.
To implement it, and that's what we did.
Exactly.
Is we used the shit out of those machines, right? Because of how important it is to have a completely results-driven program.
Yeah, and that's really what it's about. It's results-driven program because, you know, if you're coming into the gym, yes, like people like us, we enjoy going. You see your friends, whatever. But you also go because you have some sort of goal in mind, whether it's to look better, to feel better, to do a CrossFit competition, a 5K race, a Spartan race, you know, be able to pick your grandkids up, whatever it is, there's a reason you're going. You're not going because you literally have nowhere else to go. And so it's like the fact that there's not more programs out there where that's the focal point is ridiculous to me.
Exactly. And, you know, we talk about this quite a bit now, to where you want to look at the program on, okay, great, it's a gym.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
It's a gym. We offer these things, but the design, Chris, right, is for what you just said. It's for when those people leave the 4 walls.
Yeah.
What is the purpose of why they did
Yes.
it? Okay, it's for them, but it's also for the things you said, right?
Yeah.
It's like being able to walk up and down stairs and in a functional movement.
Yep.
How many dads have you seen struggle to like lay down on the floor and play with their kids?
100%.
Right? It's like, it's all of those things are like, oh, I'm doing this and I love this program because now I know I can fit into this dress for this place that I'm going to, or this wedding that
I
I'm
can play
going to.
catch with my son.
And that was kind of the thought process that changed with me about 6 months ago. Was this is all designed for that person in that activity or that thought process outside of the gym.
For sure. And then in addition to that, like I said, we have our email newsletter, which goes out to all our members to show what community events are coming up, highlight our member of the month, any staff highlights, things like that. And so with those 3 components, it allows us to cover everything. And so, you know, we're going to be getting into episodes that go into each of these more in depth, like the programming for the fitness perspective, how we came about the meal plans, in-depth look at the accountability stuff. But I wanted to film a quick episode to dive into those things so that if you're someone who is looking at a gym or wanting to get into a gym, or at a gym right now. Like start being like, hey, do you do these things?
Yeah.
And ask the person if they say, oh yeah, we do that. Okay, well, what goes into it?
Yeah.
Because if it's not this in depth, you're leaving things on the table for what you could be getting.
It's just an
value-wise.
ordinary gym at that point, and it's a fitness location that is missing the boat on a fully developed, well-rounded program.
For sure.
That's it.
So yeah, I would look into that if you're someone looking to get into a gym. So yeah, thanks for listening, guys. Again, give us a follow on YouTube, 5-star review. We'll see you on the next one.
Like and subscribe, Chris.